It's time for more Manifesting Original Rich Bitch Experiences. Each week, we're talking travel, wellness, and millennial musings with a level of refinement. What level? It fucking depends. I'm your host, Ava Bilkey. Another week, another more pod. Welcome back. So, I've been on a bit of a California road trip, if you will. And so this week we are picking up where we left off with another travel review. If you recall, a couple weeks back, this adventure started in LA. And if you want the lowdown on LA, you can go back to that full travel review pod and check it out. From LA, I made my way down to the one, the only Laguna Beach. And so this week we are going to talk about Laguna Beach, what's hot, what's not, and I'm excited to share my experience with you because this was my first time in Laguna Beach. And if you were raised on American reality TV, like I was, this is a very iconic location. So, Laguna Beach was made popular in our world by the MTV reality show titled Laguna Beach. And this came out when I was in like junior high, going into high school. And so back then, I think it was 2014 to 2016, Laguna Beach, the real Orange County, was that show. I spent many hours consuming this quality content after school. And so for me, I always had this idea of like what Laguna Beach was like in my mind based off of the reality series. It was fun to actually go there and spend some time. And what I think is interesting is that without this TV show, I feel like Laguna Beach would just be like another random beachside town that it's like, they're all great, but it's like, okay, so what? I spent the weekend here, met up with some friends, my friends Bridget and Kelsey. So collectively, we are the baddies. The baddies had a reunion, a little Laguna Beach resort retreat weekend, and it was very lovely. So, getting to Laguna Beach, I flew into LAX, spent a few days in LA, and then drove down there. For me, it was about a 2.5 hour drive. When you look it up on the interwebs, it says it's much shorter, but of course, there's always the traffic factor. You could also fly into the John Wayne Orange County Airport, and that would give you a more kind of direct entry point into Laguna. But the drive was not bad. So if LAX is the closest you can get to Laguna Beach based off of where you live, it's a great option. For this weekend, I chose to stay at Hotel Joaquin. And Hotel Joaquin is an adorable boutique hotel, steps from the beach. And I will say this hotel like really made the stay for me. And I highly recommend that if you ever go to Laguna Beach, if you find yourself there, stay at Hotel Joaquin. It was fantastic. So, set the scene. It is a 22-room boutique hotel. It has an outdoor pool. It has ocean views. It has a gorgeous, like mid-century modern style living room. So when you enter the hotel, you automatically feel like you're just walking into like a very beautiful like vacation home. And was greeted with a welcome cocktail from the bartender, which we love. Was shown to my room. The room itself was really great because it had windows on both sides of the room. And so it was really light. It was really bright. The windows opened, so you could actually like pop them open, get some fresh air. The room itself had a king size bed. It had a little kind of nook area with like a couch and a bench that I used to do work and record the podcast. So it had kind of that separate work living space all within the bedroom, which was amazing. And something that I thought was really cool and unique about this property is that every room has a record player, and it has an old vintage record player. The property has hundreds of records that they've collected through thrifting, and also I believe someone donated their personal collection. So that was just kind of that sets the vibe. Like that's the kind of spot this was. Very chill, very laid back, like very cool. They also do complimentary coffee delivered to your room every morning, which was a dream. So they ask you what time you want your morning coffee. You tell them, they deliver it. You don't even have to open the door. They just kind of set it on a tray with all of the accompaniments. They knock the door and they walk away. If you're like me and like you're not really a morning person, this door to door coffee experience, and while not having to even like open your door to say hello to somebody first thing in the morning, was truly a dream come true. Like the coffee alone would have convinced me to stay here again. They also have complimentary breakfast included in your stay. So each morning after your coffee, you can wander on over to the little restaurant and you can pick from granola, French toast, or eggs. This was also really enjoyable because it just, like having your coffee and your breakfast taken care of really sets you up for having just like a really easy start to the day. So this made the weekend incredibly relaxing and incredibly enjoyable. This property also has an outdoor pool and they have like a lawn area, and it's steps from Shaw's Cove, which is one of the beaches that you can walk to. It's really well situated, really great location, and even if I didn't leave the property, like I would have been completely happy. I mean, I would have gotten hungry because they don't serve dinner on property, but I really loved just having a loungy, vibey weekend with some girlfriends at this hotel. So that is Hotel Joaquin. If I return to Laguna Beach, I will absolutely be coming back here. And I highly recommend that you stay here if you find yourself in the area. So the weather, while I was in Laguna Beach, was pretty chilly. Again, this is the theme. It's like March in California has not been California inning, and it was fucking cold. It definitely rained at least one of the days, maybe two. And on the coast, like it gets a little chilly. So it was very breezy. It was very cold. It was definitely not bikini weather, but even so, I did enjoy walking down to the beach and watching the sunset with a jacket on because that's apparently what we're doing this month in the United States. So the weather was not optimal for the full beach experience. However, you still get the great ocean views. You still get the relaxing, kind of like laid back beach vibes. There was just no beach time. One day I did put my feet in the water because I felt like I had to, like I came all the way to Laguna Beach. Like I wanted to just say that, yes, like I've dipped my feet into the ocean. It was absolutely frigid. Like, I think I had near hypothermia on my feet after doing this little dip because it was just so cold. And then it got me thinking about the Pacific Ocean in general. Does it ever get warm? I genuinely would like to know because I feel like every time I have tried the Pacific Ocean, it's been an ice bath. Um, and this is coming from a girly who's been raised on like the Gulf of Mexico, which, if you've had the opportunity to splash around in the Gulf of Mexico, you know that it can be like a very enjoyable experience. So I'm just wondering, like, does the Pacific ever get warm enough to actually swim in? I feel like the answer is no, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. While I was in Laguna Beach, I did try out, of course, a few restaurants. One of the afternoons, I spent strolling up and down kind of the main drag. I think it's the South Coast Highway. And this is sort of the concentration of where a lot of the resorts and the restaurants and the shops are. And so that made for a really nice afternoon. Started at the Laguna Coffee Company, which is a really cute micro roaster. I believe it's a mother and daughter owned business. They make a really great cup of coffee, and the cups themselves are really pretty. They have like butterflies on them. So that was just a whole vibe. And I actually went there a couple of times. Um, so that's a great spot if you want to start off with a coffee. And then from there, you can kind of stroll up and down the street. There's a lot of there's a few surf shops that you can pop into. Continuing on the Laguna Beach theme, had to pop into the surf shop that Steven worked at, obviously, just to say that we've been there. It looked pretty similar to the way I recalled it on the TV show. Like it has that high counter where like the employees are literally standing up a step, which I still don't know what that's about. But like if you've seen it in the show, you'll know exactly what I mean. Cause it was like Steven was always like towering over Lauren and Kristen when they came into the shop to visit him, you know? And that is still the case today with the current store employees. But popped in just to say I've been there. Continued strolling around the street. There are like you'll find crystal shops, you'll find a lot of art galleries, and just fun little stores to check out. Some clothing, not necessarily my style of clothing, like a lot of surfboard beach shops, and, like beach attire, like bohemian, pastel colored, frilly, like pretty beach stuff. So if you're into that stuff, there's probably some nice shopping. However, just to give you a picture, like I was literally strolling down the street in a full like black sweatsuit and like a patent leather coat. So, the vibes for the clothing like really don't mesh there, but that's okay. Not everyone can be a boho girly, and I am not one of those. But if you like that, there's some cute shops on the street. And so I think that was one afternoon, just kind of strolling up and down the street, coffee, shopping, chatting, and it was super chill. Tried out a few different restaurants. The vibe I got was that there's just a lot of classic American cuisine. There's a lot of burgers, there's a lot of steaks, there's a lot of, I guess you could call it like California kitchen type vibes. Um, One of the restaurants that I had lunch at that was really good was called Nick's Laguna Beach. And again, this is one of these American spots. It was very popular, very busy. I had the crispy chicken sandwich, which I really wanted to try because there is one hot chicken sandwich that I get when I'm home in Minneapolis once a week. I have developed this really bad habit for this damn chicken sandwich. So I've kind of turned it into a thing where I compare chicken sandwiches. So far, the crispy chicken sandwich, the Tennessee hot chicken sandwich from Red Cow in Minneapolis, like is superior. But this one at Nick's in Laguna Beach was also very good. Also, not to miss there is the warm butter cake. This is, I feel like it's almost a vanilla version of a lava cake in the sense that like it melts in your mouth. So this warm butter cake is like a yellow cake. It's hot. It comes with a scoop of ice cream. It has some berry sauce. And oh my God, it is so delicious. Everyone who's been there, who's had it, raves about it, according to Google and the employees that talked us into the cake. So it's delicious, lives up to the hype, and this spot would be good for like a casual lunch or also like if you want to just grab like a casual dinner. If you're looking for something a bit fancier, I would recommend having a steak at Salan's Steak Tavern. So, this steakhouse is located in a really cute 1930s cottage. So very charming, very romantic vibe. And this is like your classic steakhouse experience. So at the steakhouse, I had a great filet mignon. The breadboard was delicious. And I know you're like, bread seems so basic. No, this is the type of spot where you order the bread because it is that dreamy, fresh out of the oven, like glistening because it's glazed in warm butter type of bread. And it also came with three different spreads, like three different butters, which were to die for. Also ordered a side of the macaroni and cheese. And this is one of those places where it's like the sides are huge. So if you're going with a couple of other people, you can order like maybe two sides because it's a ton of food. The mac and cheese should not be missed. I think they put garlic butter in it or something, but it was addicting. It was so good. And I feel like I would go there just for the mac and cheese. Like, it was that good. So, this place was great. It's also the type of spot that has like a full wine list, like a book, and the book has chapters. So, if you enjoy having a nice bottle of wine with your meal, highly recommend this. Um, and honestly, it's really hard to go wrong with a steakhouse. Sometimes you just want like a very satiating, solid dinner. A steakhouse will deliver that for you every single time. That's kind of my rule of thumb. It's like if I'm not quite sure about the meal or what I want or where I'm going, or maybe in an indecisive type of mood, when in doubt, steakhouse. Steakhouse. Another spot that I tried for dinner was a sushi spot. And this is one that I decided to walk to one night on my own from the hotel. So, something that I really love about larger cities is the walkability factor. I love that you can open up your door and feel like you have the world at your fingertips. Laguna Beach is not like this, but I was missing my hot European girl walks. And so I created that for myself in Laguna Beach. So I walked from Hotel Joaquin down to 242 Sushi one night. And the walk itself was just so enjoyable. Like I had my AirPods in, I was listening to Fred again. It was dark out, it was a full moon. So the sky was gorgeous. And I don't know, like there's just a joy that I get from being able to walk somewhere. I think it's also because it's like I'm in my own energy and I'm just kind of like enjoying that moment, going from point A to point B, just kind of like vibing. Um, so walk to sushi, 242 sushi. It's a tiny little spot. They maybe have like six tables and then a little sushi bar. And it was quite chilly. I think it was like 45 or 50 degrees that night when I walked there. So um, I decided to warm up with some miso soup and some edamame, which was really comforting. And then I chose to have the California roll with baked scallops. And I hadn't seen this on a menu before, and so I was figuring it was probably like the California move. So I got the California roll with baked scallops on top. And this was really tasty. It was a cooked sushi roll. I don't like a lot of raw stuff. I mean, you can refer to the Atlanta travel episode if you want to hear about how I feel about sashimi. So the cooked sushi was definitely the way to go. And it was good. It was a nice meal. So if you're looking for sushi in Laguna Beach, 242, great spot. And those were the main dining experiences I had. There are lots of spots that you could try. I think there's a lot of, like I said, that kind of classic, like American fare. It seems like there are definitely a lot of restaurants that kind of cater to tourism since it is very much like a resort based beach town. Um, but definitely a lot of great meals available. Something else fun that I did when I was in Laguna Beach is I met up with my business mentor, Natalia Benson, who actually lives in Laguna Beach. Shout out NB. Um, and again, this is one of those experiences where it's just so much fun to connect with people that you have relationships with in real life that you wouldn't maybe necessarily be able to see normally. So, her and I met up. I've actually been working with her for a couple of years now. And then this is the first time that we were able to meet in person. So we went back to the Laguna Coffee Company and I had a matcha made with coconut milk that was really tasty. And we just got to chat and catch up and sit outside and look at views of the ocean. And it was just a really nice moment and definitely a highlight of my time in Laguna Beach. The theme that I'm kind of finding with this California tour, if you will, is that I absolutely love traveling solo and I love to be alone and I love to do things by myself. And it's nice to break that up with moments of connecting with other people. So, one last random and notable from my time there is actually a cinnamon roll at a golf course. The baddies and I went to a golf course for brunch. Now, I'm not really a golf person, and I'm also not a golf course person. Like, I find golf courses to be usually pretty stuffy. But nonetheless, there was a delicious cinnamon roll at this golf course, so I will share it with you. It was called the Ranch, and it is in a canyon. So the surrounding area is really pretty in the sense that it's like very hilly. You actually don't even have phone service when you're at this fucking golf course restaurant because it's in the canyon. But there is a cinnamon roll there, and it is very large. It has cream cheese icing and it has bacon bits on top. And it was delicious. So while I don't recommend the vibe because the service was not great and there was like a ton of kids and families and just like chaos going on there, if you find yourselves at the golf course for some reason, get the cinnamon roll. That's the important takeaway here. But yeah, that was I mean, I was just there for a few days. It was a pretty chill trip. Um, it's very kind of like small town vibe, very laid back. And there were lots of other places that I could have checked out. There's plenty of other restaurants. But I was just there for a short time and I really enjoyed my time at the hotel property. So I just did a lot of relaxing and restoring there. In addition to, of course, spending time with the baddies and with Natalia. So I enjoyed it. I'm not the first person to volunteer to relax. It's actually quite hard for me to do, but I felt like the environment of the beach and just everyone's kind of laid back vibe made it easier to do so. So, all in all, I would say that a hotel stay at Hotel Joaquin paired with a bit warmer weather to fully enjoy the beach and a couple of strolls down the main street, popping into a few restaurants, would make for a really awesome weekend getaway. So, if I were to rate my experience, my time in Laguna Beach, based on the company and based on the experience I had, I think I'd give it an 8 out of 10. It was really great. Like, the only thing I can really complain about is the shitty weather that we experienced and also the lack of walkability. Those are probably the dings for Laguna Beach. I do find it interesting that the reality show was filmed there because, again, like it's just kind of like a beach town. I'd be super curious to know more about like how the MTV producers ultimately decided to create a show around high school kids in Laguna Beach because once you're there, you're kind of like, okay, like it's pretty, but it's very much like a lot of beach towns anywhere around the world. But yeah, I'm glad that I went. I'm glad that I got to see some of my friends. I'm glad that I can say I've been to Laguna Beach because, millennial here. And it was really enjoyable. So if you're looking for a beach getaway in Orange County, I think it would be a very solid stay. After a week, I think you'd probably get a little bored, to be honest, or at least I would. But the whole point, I think, of a beach stay is to be a little bit bored, which is probably why I don't do them very often. But it was beautiful. I recommend it. And I think that's it. That was like a super quick review. But again, like, it's a very chill, small little place. So there we have it. Laguna Beach, California, 8 out of 10. Check it out. Thank you so much for listening. I always appreciate when you hang out with me. It means so much. I hope that you are enjoying these travel episodes. If you have recommendations for cities that you'd love to hear on the pod, let me know. Send me a DM. Write in, leave a 5-star review. Tell me where you want to explore next. And I'll see if we can make it happen. There are so many places to go. There's so many things to do, so many places to see. But let me know where you're interested in traveling to. And also let me know if there's something else that you'd like me to add to these travel reviews. I'm always open to feedback. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening. And I'll see you next week. Listen to the More Pod every Wednesday as I share the things that make me more me and discover a thing or two to make you more you.